So 2020 is shaping up to be an amazing year for RPGs, both for remakes, enhanced versions or remasters, and even brand new IPs. How's it going, everyone? I'm Tazen, and today I'm going to go over 10 RPGs I'm most anticipated for in 2020. So going off with the first one in no particular order, that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. So naturally, for Final Fantasy VII being the very first Final Fantasy game I beat back on the PlayStation, I've always been very excited for this, and even before it was even announced, this was something that I was always hoping would eventually come to light. And to finally be able to get my hands and taste a bit of this game with the demo really sold me. I'm very excited, and I'm not worried anymore about, the way that's being split up with the first part being Midgar only, because we can just see how much that they're really fleshing out, enhancing and expanding upon it. And I'm very excited to dive into that part of the world and discover a lot of new things that I previously was not able to discover in the original game. The second RPG I'm most anticipated for in 2020 is the Trials of Mana remake. So to finally get Seiken Densetsu 3 localized in English on the collection of Mana for the Switch was awesome, to have that original version available for us to play. But to now also get a remake of the game in three-dimensional graphics, and also looking like they're putting a lot more work into this remake compared to the Secret of Mana remake and the Adventures of Mana remake. I'm very excited for this, and the fact that it's going to be playable on both Switch and PlayStation 4 adds two different ways to be able to choose to play the game, depending on how I sort of find the visual fidelity versus the portability aspect. I think it's going to be a great game to play, and for those who haven't played Seiken Densetsu 3 from the collection of Mana and maybe wish to just go straight into this remake version of it, fully voiced and so on, it could be a great way to try it. Moving on to the third game that I'm most anticipated for in 2020, that being Tales of Arise. So I've been so excited for many years now to finally see the next entry in the Tales series, and it's actually going to be the first Tales of game that is being made primarily and specifically for the PlayStation 4. So the previous two Tales of games that were released on the PlayStation 4 were Tales of Zestiria and Tales of Berseria, but they were also released on the PlayStation 3 as well. So this is going to be one where we're really going to see an enhanced sort of gameplay and visual fidelity in terms of on a new system. It's really hopefully going to take full advantage of that, and it already looks incredible, the gameplay, what we've seen so far graphically. So I'm interested to sort of learn about the story with the whole two world sort of thing. It reminds a bit of Tales of Eternia, just from that briefness of what we've learned. Again, be a really cool game to see. So moving on to the next RPG I'm most anticipated for in 2020, and that is Cyberpunk 2077. So it was a shame that it was delayed, but for a game this big in scope and that we've known about for so much time, especially from a company, a developer and publisher that has released incredible games in the past, notably The Witcher 3, I'm happy for them to take as much time as possible to really polish this game as best as they can. Now, it is a game that is likely going to get some form of enhancement on the PlayStation 5, but I'm very excited to play this on the PlayStation 4. And it was great that for International Women's Day, we got an updated look of the new sort of updated version of the female V character, and she looks fantastic. So I might play the game both as the male version and the female version. I think that'll be a great way to get some sort of, enhanced replayability. Maybe do one on the PlayStation 4, the other on the PlayStation 5 down the track if I wish to revisit the game again and it's got some sort of enhancements to it on the PlayStation 5. Very excited, but I'm super excited to find, sort of this whole story in this cyberpunk open world. I really love cyberpunk games and just cyberpunk aesthetics in TV shows, movies. I'm a huge fan of Blade Runner. I'm a huge fan of Altered Carbon. So again, Cyberpunk 2077, I can't wait for it. Now, next game I'm most anticipated for as an RPG in 2020 is Persona 5 Royal, also known as Persona 5 V Royal in Japan. This is great that we're actually getting an enhanced version of this game. So we did get this for games like Persona 3, we got FES, Persona 4, we got Golden, and now for Persona 5 we're getting Royal. I never actually beat the original Persona 5 game. I played a few hours of opening it, and I'm actually glad that I didn't now, because now I'll be able to go through the game in the Royal version with a fresh perspective from beginning to end, and not feel like maybe I'd put 100 hours into the previous Persona 5 original release and then feel like, do I want to go back through again? I could just go straight into it. I really do hope that we do actually get a Switch version of Persona 5 Royal. I think that would be great, and it's a game that came out on both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. You know, the visual difference between the PlayStation 4 version and the Switch version may not be as significant as a game that was only released on the PlayStation 4. But in saying that all, you know, it has a really unique sort of aesthetic and art style that may sort of lend itself well to not looking visually as degraded on the Switch as we've seen with some other games like The Witcher 3. But mind you, The Witcher 3, for what they've been able to do, CD Projekt Red, for the Switch version, I think that looks fantastic in itself. But anyways, I digress. I'm very excited to play this version and see a lot of all the things that gets everyone hyped about the Persona 5 game. And then hopefully after that, be able to go on to Persona 5 Scramble. Following on from that, the next RPG that I'm most anticipating in 2020 is the English Western release of Phantasy Star Online 2. So a game that is going to be released first on the Xbox platforms, Xbox One specifically, and apparently later it will be coming to the PlayStation 4. I'm so excited to play this game. This is a game that I've wanted to play forever since learning about Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 on the GameCube, and until today I've still never been able to get that game, but I did recently manage to get Phantasy Star Online Episode 3. So to now actually be able to get Phantasy Star Online 2, I don't know how to explain this, you know. It's a great sort of free to play model. We are paying for some cosmetics and other stuff like that, but for anyone who doesn't wish to pay for a subscription service, this could be something for you. Come in, play a few hours here and there, and really have a great experience with this game that has been well known and well loved in the Japanese market for quite some time now. I'm very excited to finally play that. Going on to the 7th RPG that I'm most anticipated for in 2020, and that is the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remaster. This is great, and really great that it's actually going to be having some form of cross-compatibility across the different platforms it's being released on. I've got a friend who's interested in getting on the PlayStation 4. I'm interested in getting on the Switch, but we can still hopefully be able to play together, and I think that is fantastic. And also with a game that had the whole multiplayer aspect with sort of the Game Boy Advance system on the original GameCube version, this is going to make everything a lot more streamlined in terms of having that online connectivity and hopefully local connectivity. I'll have to look more into some of the, you know, sort of the aspects and enhancements of this remaster, but to be able to get this game and get it portably, super excited for that. And I'm a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, so I welcome any remaster, remake or new game in that series. Now moving on to the next RPG I'm most anticipated for in 2020, and this is among sort of my most anticipations. That is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Editions. This game is a beautiful game, and I really can't wait to see this game on the Switch. Not just for the whole remake and remaster. It looks like it's leaning towards a remake. Some things may look like they're sort of remastered. I think it's not a sort of a either or. Everything is sort of, you know, on a scale in between, but it looks like he's very much improved upon from the little we've seen. I really like the character models. I know some people wish they sort of did more with the aesthetic look of the originals from the Wii and sort of enhanced that as opposed to sort of changing them. I don't mind it for these characters per se. But to be able to play this portably too, really can't wait for that. I think that's just going to be an awesome way to play, you know, like a 100-hour JRPG, go on a lot of side quests and stuff, and really just go back through an amazing story. Now going on to the last games, RPGs that I'm most anticipated for in 2020, and we're going to call these the ones that are possibly 2020, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. So the RPG that I'm hoping gets released in 2020 is Lost Soul Aside. So many years ago, we saw a trailer for this game that was at the time being developed by one man, Bin Yang, and it looked amazing. And he mentioned that this is something he was making from influences of games like Final Fantasy 15, and it was absolutely incredible. And then through the China Hero project, I believe, with Sony PlayStation, he's able to get a team together of, I believe, about 14 people or so. And recently they revealed that they're hoping to get this game out by the end of 2020. So there's their hope there, and I really can't wait to play this. It really gives me a feeling of an action RPG combined with the Devil May Cry aesthetic and gameplay style too. But it just really looks great. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to expect for it, but I'm very excited to see things like this get developed from what has a small starting from a single man, literally, and to be able to come out and be something that sort of really captivates us. Very excited for that. And moving on to the last RPG I'm most anticipating in 2020, which I hope gets released in 2020, but there is the possibility it may be a 2021 game, but for now I'm hopeful, and that is Babylon's Fall. So this is a game that is being made by Platinum Games, Square Enix, and we saw a trailer for it quite some time ago. It was a cinematic trailer, and then recently we finally got a combat trailer for it, and the gameplay trailer looked amazing. It really gave me the Nier Automata cross Bayonetta cross Astral Chain feeling. It just looked great. It had an interesting art palette to it, and the areas looked interesting. Sort of reminded me a little bit of the Forest Kingdom in Nier Automata, the castle-like area there. Yeah, I still don't know what to take from it, and the story, we don't really know too much about it, but when it's Platinum Games and when you've got that sort of combat system that where you're chaining a lot of moves together, I really love that, so I'm really excited for that. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. There are 10 RPGs that I'm most anticipated for, hopefully with all of them released in 2020, but regardless, there is a large patch of them confirmed for 2020. I'm super excited to play. So let me know some of the RPGs and even other games you are most anticipated for in 2020. Thank you so much for watching, hope you'll enjoy, and until next video, stay spot on.